Are there any speakers for public forum?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Thank you. Technical and public service, consent agenda.
We have two. The first one is recommendation concerning Community Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes for December 8, 2022, and recommendation concerning Community Redevelopment Agency meetings January 5th, 2023.
Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote by raising your hand. Passes 5 unanimous. Thank you. Budget and finance consent agenda.
We have three, A and a B at each one of them. First one is recommendation concerning residential rehab grant program funding and lien agreements. Second one is recommendation concerning the cancellation of residential rehab grant program liens. And the third one would be recommendation concerning residential roof program funding and lien agreements. A and a B.
Move the items A and B.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second, please vote. Passes 5 in favor. Let's move on to discussion item.
Discussion item be recommendation concerning amending the residential rehab grant concerning the sewer sanitary sewer connection. That the board review and approve the following action concerning the matching reimbursement percentage amount of the CRA residential rehab grant program. On the A, reduce the match reimbursement from 50% to 25% for non-homestead properties. B, retain the current match reimbursement of 50% for non-homestead for sanitary sewer connection up to $6,000. Staff is seeking board guidance on this.
So what you're asking to reduce it for non-homesteaded to 25%?
We're seeking the guidance on that, yes.
I mean, why would we reduce it to 25 for non-homesteaded? Why wouldn't we keep it at 50?
Well, last time we became, we were given saying that, come up with something that would be different. So we got together and we came up with either the 25% or just leave it at that.
But a homesteaded person, the match is what? What do they pay back?
50%.
And
But the non-homestead was someone, I guess they had a problem with it being the non-homestead person not getting the 50%. That was brought up.
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
I think part of this was we had one that came before us, and it was a non-homestead, and the person was in Mississippi. And the question that I asked at the time, never really got an answer, was he in the military? Was he
Yeah. So we got that, Commissioner Bogacz. If you are in the military,
the homestead stays?
the homestead state, as long as you're not homesteaded in another state, if you're active.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if you're retired military and you live in another state, then it doesn't pertain to you.
Okay, gotcha.
but there should be a greater incentive for someone who's homesteading the property versus someone who's not homesteading the property.
Right.
And so
I
what's the?
understand that. I understand that part of it. And that was the part where we came up with the 25%.
I mean, I'm fine going to 25% for non-homesteaded, giving a heavier weight to homesteaded property. Or, I mean, I do think it's appropriate to be different if we wanted to leave the non-homesteaded at 50, and, I don't know how many of these we're doing per year, but if you wanted to increase the homesteaded property to, 65% or something, I'd be open to that too. But I think I don't think it's inappropriate to have a different threshold for homestead versus non-homestead.
Mr. Chairman, this came up in December. I went back and reviewed this. I believe this board voted for the 50% in 20. My take on it is, if you're non-homesteaded, you're paying higher taxes. We want people to get on sewer, and it's environmentally sensitive. So I'd rather go with what Vice Chairman Barry said the other way and keep it at 50%. But that's my opinion on it.
So in real numbers, what does the 50% versus the 25% mean?
Well, we go pay up to $6,000, so it would be, say if it goes to $6,000, it'd be $3,000
For a homestead?
for $6,000 for homestead, $3,000 for non-homestead.
Yeah. I don't mind going up, Steve, if you want to go up, but, I mean, what I'm not going to support is, and I see this particularly in our lower income neighborhoods, they don't reduce anybody's rent, and you get those developers and slumlords who come and apply for this money. And so I'm not going to support it.
What is sewer connections? What does sewer connections cost? I mean,
What would a sewer connection cost?
does 6,000 cover half of?
It covers half, yeah, so it's around about 12,000.
So, I mean, I know that's the maximum we would
Right,
pay, but
right.
does that cover most of the expense?
Up to 12, to 10 to 12,000, so.
So that's, I mean, that's really
Yeah,
about what
yeah,
they cost? Okay,
yeah.
I didn't really know that.
And then for income eligible people, ECUA doesn't waive any of the fees?
Some of it they do. I don't have that. I'll get that for you and get it to you, but I know they do waive some of it.
Right.
We go, and if I'm not mistaken, that's through the neighborhood enterprises, so.
Let's do this. I mean, unless there's a great opposition, can we find all that information out? You know, what ECUA is offering, what
Yeah.
programs they're giving them, come back with real costs, and then have this at at the next CRA meeting?
Okay.
Can I add one other question to that?
Sure.
Can you tell us how long this precedent's been and how long we've been doing that 50%? Has it been a year, 5 years? How long has this been going on?
I would have to look and see when the grant was established.
Okay.
Since we started the sewer program.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Which we're carrying the burden, which is very sad. I mean, we're carrying the burden for ECUA. And every time someone flushes the toilet or turns on the water, they have a bill that they pay. But for all these sewer connections, these major sewer projects, the county's paying for them. And so to me, there is a further discussion that if they want us to increase, and if they want us to be more helpful, ECUA needs to be a willing partner to these citizens. And so I think that that's probably, with our colleagues' permission, I'm going to meet with the ECUA chairman and to talk before we bring this item back. Because it's unfair to put this burden strictly on taxpayers when people are paying their ECUA bill every month.
Mr. Chairman, if I might as well, I think they have an incentive. I mean, not only do we have the environmental concerns that we all know about, but ECUA has an incentive. Every time you do that, that brings a new customer online. So I would completely support that. I agree with what Commissioner Kohler says. We obviously want people on septic to sewer, but let's have ECUA put some skin in the game. I'm with you on that. And I think you'd find support on this board.
Well, you gain a lifetime client now. Yeah, that's a customer for life in perpetuity.
Their bill's going to double, if not triple. Because
Every year.
You pay for one unit going in and two coming out. So
Right.
that's another concern that we need to think about, that you've got someone on a fixed income on an older house. Get prepared for a much bigger water bill from ECUA.
Oh,
Much bigger.
absolutely. Well, I mean, it's much more than that too, Jeff. Once people start getting on, we get sewer connections, and then lower income people, they have pipes, old pipes, and then they can't get the pipes fixed. And certainly we've been, handling that burden. So, I mean, there needs to be a further discussion with ECUA. So if that's good with you, and staff, if you would talk to
Yeah, we'll-
ECUA at the
yeah, we'll
staff
talk to
level,
them. Right.
to come back with a proposal where there's some skin in the game from
Okay.
ECUA and the county.
All right, will do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So with that being said, we stand adjourned. Thank you. Board of County Commissioners regular meeting, March 2nd, 2023, 5:30. And if we could ask the questions that we need this morning of staff and the administrator, or get with them throughout the day. I want to see, can we move hastily tonight to have a pretty quick meeting? Commissioner Bagash, I know, has already requested that we have a quick meeting tonight.
Yes, sir, please. That's a standing request.
That's what I know. I mean, it's not like we talk, but I know it's a standing request. Invocation, Commissioner Bender? You got it. Do you know who it would be? I'll just give it to you when we're here. Commissioner Berry, can you do the pledge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Are there any items to be added to the agenda?
Do be aware that it's anticipated that the broadband agreement is going to be part of your agenda by this evening.
Mr. Chairman, there will be at least a resolution going to FDOT for a bridge project in the north end of the county.
So the two things we'll add is FDOT resolution and then broadband.
Mr. Chairman, I'll have an add-on as well. I'm going to, for my discretionary support, the Escambia County Elementary Principals Association Shining Star Award ceremony tonight that gives bikes to 36 students, the most exceptional students from 36 different schools. So I'm proud to support that. That'll be on tonight's agenda for my discretionary. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Commissioner Kohler? Yes, sir. Commissioner Bender?
No, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners Forum, Commissioner Bagash.
I will save my comments for this evening to save time.
Commissioner Kohler?
I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll save for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Berry. I'll be here this evening, but certainly Charles Carlin, a friend of this county, obviously, our prayers are out to his wife, who's a dear friend, and we're praying for her, and certainly we want to continue to pray for Louis Bear and the Bear family. Wes, thank you so much. All right, Wes, we'll turn it over to you at this time.
We have proclamations. We have Employee of the Month, A. B and C. Commissioner Kohler, are you planning to present these?
I am. Both those individuals plan on being here tonight.
Okay.
So Kohler, you doing B and C?
That's correct.
All right.
And D is a proclamation recognizing the contributions of the International Youth Congress to our community and inviting Escambia County residents to their 2023 Congress. Who's going to present that?
They won't be here tonight, will they? We're going to present that at the church.
Okay.
They're going to try to make it here? Okay, news to me. All right, if they're here, I'll present it.
Okay. And the others are just ratifications.
Sounds great.
All right. Clerk's report,
Nothing this morning. We'll talk tonight.
growth management.
Just for tonight, we have a rezoning case on tonight. Then we have the 545, public hearing, 546. It's the official adoption of the zoning map. 547, this is the second meeting for an opt-out request. Then we have the consent agenda for April 6th.
Hey, Horace, we're canceling the 546, is what it,
No, yes, cancel, yes.
you got 540, yeah,
Yes,
It's cancellation of a public hearing for, we're canceling 546.
yes.
All right,
Then 547 is the regular second meeting for opt-out request.
All right.
all right.
Okay, administrative report, technical public service. Item 1 is concerning community redevelopment agency meeting minutes. 2 is concerning community redevelopment agency meeting minutes. 3 is concerning an amendment to the fiscal year 22-23 miscellaneous appropriations agreement for Keep Pensacola Beautiful. 4 is concerning amendment to an agreement for maintenance of county parks and boat ramps. 5 is concerning the Federal Transit Administration fiscal year 2023 annual certifications and assurances. 6 is concerning the memorandum of understanding between Escambia County, Florida and United Way of West Florida. 7 is concerning the agreement between Escambia County, Florida and HCA Florida West Hospital regarding training in acquired structures. 8 is concerning the sovereignty submerged lands easement with the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund of the state of Florida. 9 is concerning the authorizing the scheduling of a public hearing on March 23rd, 2023 to discuss the 5 possible rebuild Florida Hurricane Sally infrastructure repair program projects. Any questions on any of those? Budget finance, number 1 is concerning residential rehab grant program funding and lien agreements. 2 is concerning the cancellation of residential rehab grant program liens. 3 is concerning residential roof program funding and lien agreements. 4 is concerning establishing a full-time emergency vehicle technician position and a full-time lead fleet maintenance technician. 5 is concerning the agreement between the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners and the State of Florida Division of Emergency Management regarding funding for Tactical Rescue Team 104. 6 is concerning the first of 2 possible one-year renewals with Key Commissary Network. 7 is concerning the State Law Enforcement Trust Fund. 8 is concerning the General Alliance Insurance Agent. 9 is concerning the contract award for Wi-Fi equipment for Escambia County Area Transit. 10 is concerning PD 22-23.039, prep, paint of Palafox Transfer Station Tipping Building. 11 is concerning the contract award for State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program, new construction. 12 is the same. 13 is the same. 14 is concerning the contract award for the Longleaf West Phase construction with bridge and drainage project. 15 is concerning the purchase of one 2024 Freightliner water truck for waste services. 16 is concerning the issuance of a purchase order in excess of $50,000 to JNB Contracting LLC for Hurricane Sally, MC Blanchard Building Repairs. 17 concerning change order number 4 to ADCO Companies LTD, purchase order for the JJC boiler rental. 18 is concerning the exercising of second of 2 possible one-year renewal terms for PD 17-18.091 elevator maintenance services for county facilities. 19 is concerning the contract approval of the state attorney's restroom construction. 20 is concerning a change order number 2 to purchase order 231644 to JRM Construction Group, Inc. for the correctional facility infirmary epoxy floors. 21 is concerning issuance of a change order number 1 to purchase order number 231584 to Site Utility LLC for the Motley Court Gully repairs. 22 is concerning amending the board's action of September 22nd, 2022 on continuing contract for bridges, docks, and boat ramps. 23 is concerning exercising the second and final renewal related to traffic signal response maintenance. 24 is concerning administrative budget amendment number ABA 23038 for appropriations of funds. 25 is concerning a funding allocation for Pay Center for Girls, Men Who Cook. 26 is concerning a funding allocation for the First Tee Gulf Coast, Commissioner Mike Kohler. 27 is a funding allocation for Pillars of Promise Youth Bike and Try Initiative, Commissioner Mike Kohler. 28 is concerning a funding allocation for the First Tee Gulf Coast, Commissioner Bender. 29 is funding for the First Tee Gulf Coast 6th Annual Ball, Commissioner Burgage. 30 is concerning the funding allocation for the Tate High School baseball team, Commissioner Berry. 31 is concerning the purchase of 4 Ford F-250 Super Duty XL STX pickup trucks for emergency medical services. 32 is concerning commercial property insurance. 33 is concerning the funding allocation to the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce, Commissioner May. If I could go back to number 32, the number listed in the recommendation is 4.1, I believe, and we've negotiated to 3.95, so about $600,000 cheaper.
Mr. Administrator, if I might, are you talking about item 32? It's listed as 44.5 million. You're saying we got that down to
3.9.
3.9, okay.
Yes, sir.
Tate, yeah.
All right, discussion items. Number 1, I think,
Hold on, Wes.
Mr. Administrator.
yes, sir.
And Delana, I need to, and this is my mistake, item 30, item 30 for Tate High School. It's, that's in support of the Aggie Classic. It's a tournament over spring break where they're hosting 14, 18 teams. But historically, I've done $2,500, and that's what I intended to do this time. I misspoke, so I need that to be $2,500 when we go tonight.
Okay, duly noted.
And Wes, for the First Tee, would you add on to Commissioner Begich, 1,000 from my discretion for the First Tee and 500 for the Tate to support that tournament at Tate?
Absolutely.
And Mr. Administrator, while we're doing that, Stephen, is that for the Tate Aggie Classic? Is that what that is?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to go ahead and add to that as well. I'll add 1,000 from my discretionary to that. It's a great tournament. Are they playing at the Wahoo Stadium, Steve?
I believe that they're going to be able to play at least a couple of games there.
Right on.
I don't know if they're going to be able to play the championship, but I believe they're going to be able to play a couple. And like I said, they've got a lot of folks coming in, and the kids and administration and everything are excited.
Right on.
Okay, discussion items. Number 1, I believe you have already addressed a little bit earlier. And number 2 is concerning an appointment to the West Florida Public Library Board of Governance. Number 3 is concerning the authorization for tax deed bidding for various parcels. And 4 is concerning the reauthorization of acquisition of real property for Blue Angel Parkway and Highway 98 for mitigation purposes.
Wes, so
Yes, sir.
it's only one spot available for the Library Board of Governance? It's only
Yes.
one spot? Okay. That's fine.
That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Wes. Madam Attorney?
I do not anticipate a county attorney's report for this evening's agenda.
Thank you. But you had something that's coming forth?
Actually, I believe it will be on the
broadband?
administrator's report, but it is the contract for the Phase 1 broadband.
Thank you. Thank you. We do want to welcome all of our friends to the Sun Belt Tournament that are here from out of town. I think it's up to 28 teams from all over the country that are here in Pensacola. And so want to thank our staff and Visit and Pensacola Sports for the job that they've done and all the citizens who are entertaining. Are there any discussions? Because we'd like to get it over with this morning, if there's any questions.
I just want to talk about OLF 8. It's not on the agenda today.
Oh, let's,
And we don't need to add it because I'm certain we'll have some speakers. But Wes, you and I have been talking, and if we could just get a status update. I'm concerned because we have several offers. We got people that are saying they're going to offer. Like I mentioned at the last meeting, I'm concerned that if we wait too long, some of the better offers and some of the better language that's out there and already on the table evaporates. So where are we at right now with the three people that have put?
Well, we've really only officially got 2 real letters of intent. We did receive a letter from a company saying they intend to send a letter of intent with a number, but that really wasn't a letter of intent. So Alice and I have met with the 2 firms that have actually submitted a letter of intent, Horton and Breland. And it was a meet and greet type of a meeting, a lot of conceptual ideas, a lot of financing ideas and such. So what we've asked is, I have sent them all the CAD files, I've sent them the surveys, I've sent them the links to the website for everything OLF 8, so they have all of the information. We provided a little bit of additional information this week, and they are preparing a conceptual overlay for the property, due in about, well, now probably about 3 weeks instead of 4. And so what we want to do is see that conceptual overlay and the thoughts and ideas for each proposal coming from Horton and from Breland. And then we want to take a look at that. We want the commissioners to take a look at that and then proceed forth from there as to whom we think we really want to negotiate with.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. The Breland offer in particular had language that was very, very beneficial to the community, and I believe long-term to the entire county and the region. What would preclude us from moving forward? And then, I mean, the overlay idea, I understand you want to get something from Horton and from Breland, but is that really, do we really need to delay 3 weeks?
Well, if they
For
can
that.
have, if they may can have it ready a bit sooner than that, but that was just a timeline that they said that they, both firms said that they needed to put the stuff together. I guess in my thought process before I negotiate a purchase agreement or sales contract, I want to see exactly what their thoughts and ideas are for the property, because we want to make sure that we keep the spirit of the master plan and the multi-purpose
Absolutely.
design and concept. So how much single family, how much multifamily, light, and what is their plan?
That's all stipulated in the master plan.
Absolutely. How much for the light industrial? How do they intend to accomplish that? So, I mean, there's some things that I think I just want to see before, I think anyway, it's prudent to see before we move forward in actually negotiating a sales agreement.
And just from my understanding, they gave a letter of intent, and if the board selects one of those 2, all of that stuff that you're talking about there would happen after we selected. I mean, that would be something that could be negotiated into the deal, because that still has to happen even if we select one of these 2 bidders. And I will say this for the record, one of the 2 bidders I've received a lot of negative information about. Phone calls, Facebook stuff, and emails. As I said at the last meeting, as I said publicly in the newspaper, the language from one of these proposals is hands down better. It's not always about the top dollar that you're going to get. It's about language. It's about a company that has a track record of doing this kind of work. So I just want it on the record. The longer we wait on this, I think we put ourselves in more jeopardy. When someone puts a all-cash offer on the table with language that's good, that meets the spirit of the master plan, that allows for job creation, I'm just concerned that we're waiting. And what you're talking about, the overlay, that's fantastic, but that could all be done after we select one of these 2. And if there's a 3rd or a 4th, they need to come forward.
Right. Well, I've had several conversations with folks who say they intend to send a letter of intent, but these are the only 2 real letters of intent we have.
yeah, Jeff, I mean, and I certainly yield to you and Commissioner Berry on this project, but I mean, obviously, I mean, it's 20 years in progress, and, it was one of the things that when we first campaigned, So I certainly want to get it off, launched as soon as possible, but haste makes waste. We have to do our due diligence to be a good stewardship for this project, and for me, as quick as we can get it, but as prudent as we can get it, it's going to be important. I mean, as Wes just said, we got to live with the master plan. We got to look at Triumph dollars. In my mind, 38 million doesn't mean a lot because I subtract 14 from 38, I get 24, if we're going to get Triumph dollars. And so if we, in the scope of things, yes, we want to get $24 million, but when you look at our overall budget, I mean, 24 million is not going to make a life-changing impact. Jobs are what are going to make a life impact on our community.
To that point, can I just make a point?
Yes, sir.
Those the Breland and the D.R. Horton offer, so far as I understood from reading them, and Wes, correct me if I'm wrong, neither one of them made the contingency about that 14 million. That's something we had before those offers. My understanding, the $35 million from Breland and the $38 million from Horton, neither of those make that roadway a contingency. So if one of those offers is going to live within the master plan, and we know we're going to have light industrial and job creation, it's $35 million, and we don't have to make the road. They make the road. So I just want to make sure that's not being.
Well, yeah, and I think some of those things have to be laid out. If someone's going to give us 35 million or 38 million, which I think it should be, 50 million personally. But seriously, I mean, it should be as long as we've kept the property, appreciation, interest. I mean, it's a steal at $30 million. But we have to be real clear on roads, infrastructure, drainage, stormwater. We have to, because they buy it and then, we get left holding like we do on many subdivisions. They go build, and the next thing you know, we got to put in all this retention, neighborhoods are flooding, houses are being destroyed. So, that needs to be laid out very clearly. The public responsibility that they're going to want from us once they acquire the property. And I just want to be clear with that as we move forward, Jeff.
And
Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think what Wes is talking about is, I think it makes sense. I think it's appropriate, the timeline that he's discussed. I think that's still candidly, I think that's still a pretty aggressive timeline from the two developers' points of view. We can't, there are issues with the Triumph. So what we have is the $14 million was a pre-app determination. There are now some questions as to whether that would have actually happened in the fashion that it was put together for whatever reason. So we as a county and as the owner of the property have not been able to give a clear answer to either developer yet about the Triumph aspect on the property. I don't see how we can really expect them, either party, to put something, what we're looking at, what you can have in 3 weeks or, 3 weeks from now, realistically is just some artist renderings. But until we can, give them a firm determination related to Triumph dollars, I don't think we can even expect that. So I think we'll be doing pretty well if we can get some artist renderings done, within the next 3 weeks. Hopefully we can really firm up what the answer is going to be out of Triumph. But like I said, the 14 million that was in that determination originally related to the one project, there are now some questions as to whether that was actually whether that would actually stick in the way it was written together, in the way it was put together. So, I don't think we can expect these folks to have something on this size of a project because, whether the Triumph money is there or not, there's still a lot of infrastructure that's got to be paid for by the private party. Whether that subsidizes some of it, it doesn't pay all of it by any means. That's one road and some sewer and stormwater. And if that's off the table, it doesn't affect either party's interest in the contract. So Jeff, I think you're absolutely right about that. Neither offer is contingent on that. I don't think it affects the interest, but it does affect the way the financing potentially would be done for the infrastructure on the property. And you're looking at acquisition cost of whatever we are able to negotiate, but then you're going to look at infrastructure expense from the private side going on the property of another big number. It's a big number to put the roads to build out that site to what we want it to see, to that multi-use aspect. And I don't know whether that number is another 20 million, another 30 million, but it's a big number to put all the infrastructure on the property. So hopefully in the next few days we can you know, kind of really finalize the feedback related to the Triumph Ask, but, you know, I'm excited to see what gets put together. And the master plan, and this is something that we've talked about, and you've mentioned many times, the eventual, compromise outcome that we have. But I still am of the opinion that even that, and I think I said this 2 weeks ago, even the Triumph application was going to take our board taking action to alter the master plan, to change the master plan. We know that. Even that was 43 acres. Just the development of that 43 acres where they were looking at doing it was going to take us changing the master plan. So we are going to, as a board, change the master plan. It's just, hopefully, the thought is we can keep the spirit of it together, but the specific GPS locations where this is this and this is that, I think that's going to change. So that's going to take an action by our board. But I still think the majority of our board, if we got some artist renderings back and got some intent, clear intent in what the folks are looking at doing on the property, that did focus a little more on the commercial, retail, light industrial, office, maybe a little less on especially the single-family residential on the property. While, again, that might be, if somebody devoted less of the footprint to that, I think our board might find that favorable. So, the spirit of the master plan, yeah, but I do think that there's an opportunity here for us to use this time frame to hopefully have some partners come back and say, look, the master plan says this, but, we can increase the commercial, increase the light industrial, increase the office area, which is what we really want for the long-term impact. I mean, we know from the multiplier effect, the impact that, those jobs that are created on the property, especially the non-service jobs, which I know that's going to be a part of it, and that's what I perceive your community is very excited about. Some of the partners that could come in, whether it's P.F. Chang's or, Super Sushi or, whatever big box type places can come out there. It seems like that's what your community really wants, and it's needed in the area because of the population and everything. And, the possibility of having this site be a site where people can, they can literally work there, potentially live there, walk to lunch, walk to get a haircut, walk to do things. I mean, I think the potential for that's there, and that's what the, community would be excited about. So I think as it comes back, if somebody did, maybe reduce a little bit of the single-family residential aspect and increase some of the other, I think our board might find favor with that. So I'm excited to see what we get back, and hopefully in the next couple of days we can, kind of determine whether the Triumph money is realistically on the table. It does not look, I will say, it does not look especially promising currently based on some conversations. So.
Thank you. Wes, was there a third proposal from Florida West and Scott Luth for partial acreage? Did we get that?
No, we did not get that. There was some discussion early on when we submitted a Triumph application. In conjunction with that, we were working with Florida West, and Mr. Luth thought he may have an interested buyer that wanted 43 acres, and but that has not at the moment come to fruition.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Bender?
That's the one who sent us a letter of intent that, I don't know if they want all of it, but I know that they want a bigger portion than 43 acres. So are we going to have, presentations? Is that what we're going to have, or?
So I think some of the conversation, based on what I heard from it, was it April 6th?
Yeah. Well, we would like to have presentations to the board.
And that would be the public part, but
Yeah.
hopefully private meetings with
Private
everybody
meetings as
before
well,
April
yeah.
6th, but have the public presentations made April 6th. That's the timeline.
So Jeff, to your point, that's the date that, if these people that are on the fence, I'm definitely going to take preference to someone who's made a presentation to somebody who hasn't. So talk about these other ones that are on the fence. If they want to get in, we got presentations next month.
Yep.
Yeah, they got a month from today to get it
Right,
in.
and that's what I'm saying.
In my mind, if they don't get it in by April 6th, done deal.
Right.
And I would say this, Allison and I will, we'll have, it's not, we're going to be in touch.
Right.
Throughout this whole process. I'm going to make weekly phone calls, maybe more than one phone call a week, to make sure we have good communication going, answering any questions. Maybe they can answer any questions we have that come up. But we're not just going to sit for 3 weeks and wait. We're going to be in constant communication.
Yeah, so Jeff, actually, talking about the feedback that you've received, actually during the Mardi Gras parade, I had somebody yell at me on which one not to take. So
I think I got that one too.
Yeah.
I got the phone call, the text, the Walmart, everything.
Right. So,
You're safe. Nobody was sober at that parade.
but just to say that
I was.
You know, we've gotten
I mean, well, other than
lots
you.
of emails about how people feel about one of those offers. So, and I, as I said it a couple weeks ago, you know, again, the quality of the offer is to me more important than the dollar amount being offered.
No, I appreciate that, Robert, and Stephen, I appreciate the conversation. I just think it's important that people know that we are considering this. We all have our, we all have our thoughts on it. As it pertains to the master plan, yes, I do understand that the Triumph grant would have necessitated not a change of the underlying zoning, but I believe the layout of the lot, the setbacks, something like that, which was minor. And I guess when I say the master plan, I mean, I like that. The spirit of the master plan, that's good. We can reduce the amount of housing. I think it's better. I never wanted one house on that site, not one. And I'm going to keep saying that. I want to make sure people know that.
And I've always wanted Section 8 on that property, so.
Well,
I mean,
we wanted
none of
jobs,
us-
but,
yeah.
and again,
No,
these
none of us do.
compromises, it comes out of the sausage grinder, and then it's a compromise. But that's why I think that one of these, and I'm going to say it again, I won't, I'm not trying to put my thumb on the scale, but the language from one of these offers is so much better. And I think it gets us 90% of the way there. So April 6th is dropped. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
and Jeff,
April 6th is
Jeff, I
dropped
know
dead.
you want to get it off, and listen, I'm going to be supportive of where you guys want to go with it, but, I mean, in this development game as well, you got developers sitting back watching. I mean, we don't know what deal, I mean, many of them don't want to show their hands, right now until it becomes more concrete. I understand. I mean, because they got to put, their intellectual property out there for public scrutiny. And so I can recognize if we give them a hard date on April 6th, whatever it is, you probably will get others that will get something in.
Well, I would just like to bring it in for a landing, guys. This economy can change on a dime. We've got a war in Europe. It could escalate. Things can change. So I'm
Absolutely, Jeff.
interested in
Yeah, I'm
wrapping up the
with
deal.
you. I just don't, I mean, I've seen haste. I've seen probably one of the greatest tragedies, haste waits at the Maritime Park when they brought a developer in and they push, and
Right.
they're still waiting to develop it. Today, 20 years later, they're still waiting to develop it because, leadership rushed through it and didn't make prudent decisions. And so the citizens are still stuck with green spaces right now. So I want to make sure that, whatever we do, we get it right.
Yeah,
Well, you talk
I-
about the
I
devil's in the
disagree.
details of an agreement.
Right.
I mean,
Right, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's a better local example of that. The devil in the details of the agreement between the city and the
Right,
CMPA board.
right. Which was,
Yeah.
And that was a little bit different deal because what I'll say is this. We're going to negotiate a deal. We're going to have a 6-month due diligence period, and then we're putting that money in the bank at a cash closing.
Right.
That's the difference. They have this different thing going on down here, and lots of money, lots of public money involved in it, lots of bonds that went way up, promises made, where's the museum, where's the breakwater, right, different deal.
Right.
We're going to have our money. We've got our master plan. It's already in our ordinances. We're going to be light years ahead of what happened down here.
Jeff, I'm
That's
fine.
my-
As long as we get the best deal for the citizens. I didn't mean to cut you off, Commissioner Berry, but as long as we get the best deal for the citizens, because whether you live in Brownsville, or whether you live in Beulah, whether you live in Century or Cantonment, your tax dollars help make this purchase. So there must be a ROI for all citizens of Escambia County, not just one community. It should be a return for all citizens.
And, I mean, the April 6th is when, is when it would be public here. But I think the expectation is that by the time it's public here, it would have been private with all of you, with everybody having the opportunity to not just see the plan, but, have an hour to, go back and forth and talk. So I think realistically, even though we're talking about April 6th date, I think internally they're having to have, what's today, the 1st? I mean, they're having to really have, more of a 3.5-week timeline to get the work done so that they can get in front of everybody to, because I think everybody gets the gravity of the situation. I mean, it's it makes the moving forward with the project, whatever the board decides to do, is the largest. I mean, it makes some of the other land deals and some of the other things that we've done as a county, even historically, you know, they pale in comparison to the size of this deal. So, but it's exciting to think that coming out of that April 6th meeting, we would have, we would have direction given to move forward and negotiate a sales agreement. And hopefully, during these times of communication between, the attorney and the administrator and the parties, a lot of what's going to be in that eventual sales agreement will also be verbalized and the narrative going back and forth. I mean, it's not, there won't be a sales agreement on the 6th, but I think the spirit of what's going to go in there can be discussed so that even if we're not negotiating, even if they haven't been told to negotiate the terms by the board, everybody's watching the meetings, and Allison and Wes, I know, are listening to, to all of our feedback. So they know what's important to us. So I'm sure that they're able to communicate, look, if the board moves forward, we're going to need language in there that talks about this. We're going to need language in the sales. So I think those things are happening, even if they're kind of happening at a two-headed monster now. And if we do get another, letter of intent formally for something, then maybe there's 3 conversations going on at once. But I don't think there's anything to do with any of those other conversations until we really receive something. And I think Rick Byers is, Rick Byers is kind of standing in the shoes at Florida West now. So I think, I think was a part of at least one of those conversations on some level, and will probably be a part of some of those conversations going forward. I think he's taking, kind of taking the lead from Scott, and especially with the contact of the previous project up there that did have some legs through Triumph. I think Rick has spoken to those folks as well, and if there's, I think it's appropriate for, I think that agency has a seat at the table, especially for communication. I think it makes sense.
Thank you. I know that wasn't on the agenda, but thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was a good, important conversation.
I know it's very important to you, and we certainly want to help you get it across the finish line, Commissioner. With that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.